If you are eager to improve your colour grades, I want to give you 5 easy and simple tricks. These will help you get better skin tones, help you get more consistent grades in the colour and exposure, and also help you pull out more detail in the highlights and the shadows. When I was making this list, it was super hard to narrow it down to just 5. I settled on the ones I think are the easiest and simplest to implement into your workflow. At the end of this video, I want to talk to you about this book, as I think this book is being massively slept on by the filmmaking community. I will be inside DaVinci Resolve demonstrating and showing you guys these tips, but it's good to note that I purposely made sure that they are all transferable to your NLE, Final Cut, Premiere, whatever that may be. Let's not waste any more time and let's get into number 1. Number 1 is Skin Tone Indicator. To turn this one on, you want to come to your scopes on the color tab, use the drop down menu and select Vector Scope. Now under Vector Scope, there is these 3 little lines here, and in here you will see Show Skin Tone Indicator. This line allows you to quickly and easily check the accuracy of your skin tones inside your footage. All skin tone types should fall along this line if you want them to look realistic. Here's a quick example of where you would not use the skin tone indicator line. This is just a low quality screen grab I got off Google Images for Blade Runner. They have purposely lit off the skin tone indicator line. So for most realistic shots, it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to remove any casts. Number 2 is log wheels. This is massively underrated. Now there are 3 types of wheels in Resolve. There is lift gamma gain, there is log wheels, and there's HDR wheels. Now as you can see, I've just used Resolve's generator to generate a simple gradient from black to pure white. That is shown here on the waveform, going from 0 on the left hand side that's pure black to 1023 that's pure white. This will represent how it affects the shadows, the highlights, and the mids. So if I move the lift down here, you can see that it lifts from the bottom, also moving the mids, but leaving the highlights locked in place. Same applies if I move the gain. The gain will move the brightest parts of the image and the middle part of the image, but leave the lowest parts of the image locked in place. You will see there is a little wheel that says log at the bottom of it. Now if I do the exact same thing, but this time grab the shadows with the log wheels, you will see it only affects the very darkest parts of the image. It's doing 0 to the mids and the highlights. And the same applies to the highlights up here. As you can see, it's only affecting the brightest parts of the image. Now we know how the log wheels work. One of my favorite things to do whenever I have an image that I think the shadows just look a little crushed and need a bit more detail in them. First, pull up your lift, then come over to your log wheels. And now I'm just doing this here on my color grading panel. Pull the shadows back down. Now what this is doing is we have lifted up loads of detail into those dark areas, and then we have just pulled the black point back down to give us back that contrast. And if you see, just turning that grade off and on, it just brings out detail in shadow areas. And the same thing applies just to the highlight section of a window that's looking really bright or something like that. So number 3 is creating a unifying look. Applying something that unites all your footage. Like we go through and correct and grade each individual clip, but you should have something that works as a sort of glue just over your entire timeline, making all your separate takes just feel like one long continuous scene. This could be anything like a LUT or a simple hue adjustment. The way I normally do this is I'll jump over to the timeline section and create a new node, and I will use my favorite plugin, that is Dehancer. On this particular grade, I've used Kodak Ektar 100. I've also added some bloom and halation in there. I just love the way that Dehancer makes the footage feel really organic and not digital. I know nothing about film, but I just Google film stocks, figure it out, but I just love the way it makes the footage look. If you're not already using Dehancer, I will put the link below at the top of the description for you to download the trial. I also have a promo code from them, what is OBP10. If you use this, it will get you 10% off if you decide you like it and you want to purchase it. As always, they have not paid me to say anything nice about their product. I use this personally on my paid work and my personal work, and I truly believe this is the best plugin out there for color grading. Number 4 is a face refinement tool. Now, you do need the paid version of Resolve for this one, but if you really wanted to, you could just draw a window and track that in any software, or do the same with the eyes. As long as you track it in, the theory still applies. Now, anyone watching my videos know that I like to keep my color grading process really simple. So when the face refinement tool first came out, I was, let's say, really reluctant to use it. But I was definitely wrong about this one. I have lost count the amount of times I've wanted to just brighten someone's eyes or sharpen them or put a little bit of saturation back in someone's skin. All you've got to do is come to the plugin section of Resolve, search face, drag the face refinement tool onto a node, hit analyze. 95% of the time you will get a good track. There's endless amount of options in here. I would say the ones I mainly use are eye sharpening, eye brightening, and sometimes add in a bit of saturation in someone's skin, but be really delicate with this and always make sure that you have a good track. If it does not track, don't use it. Now my fifth one is timeline wipe. I've saved the best to last. Now anyone who's done a bit of color grading in Resolve has probably done the technique of right clicking on the image and grab still. You can then come to another image, click on that image, and you will create an image swipe where you can compare two grades. The aim of color grading normally is using conversational grading. You want the next shot to speak to the shot before it and the shot after it. You want continuity, so when the viewer is watching, it does not break their attention from the story or the emotion that they're feeling. Doing the right click and grab the still is wrong. You end up with loads of saved stills, and they're also from all over the timeline. The trick you want to do is, when you have two shots that you really want to match, like I have this wide here and I have a close-up just after it, you want to go over the previous shot, right click, scroll down, and you see wipe timeline clip. It simply adds an image wipe on instantly. You can go about making the corrections you need to match up the shot. Then all you gotta do is click the button up here and you're back grading. Next shot and next shot. You can just keep going. You can then apply the last couple tweaks you need to do to match up the shots. The last thing I want to mention is Blackmagic's own The Colorist's Guide to DaVinci Resolve. This book is amazing if you're a beginner who's never used Resolve before and wants to dive into more serious color grading, or even if you're a veteran in the space and you're massively into color grading, and I've been doing it for years. This book is amazing for sharpening up what Resolve has to offer. Inside this book, there is lessons walking through every feature that DaVinci Resolve 18 has added, and also all the original features. They have live projects on their website that you download and you follow along with. And the best thing is, it's totally free. If you go to Blackmagic's website, you can download a PDF version of this book for totally free. All the projects and footage that comes along with that is totally free also. I decided to purchase the physical book, as for me, knowing that I've purchased it and it's sat staring at me on my side makes me read it. And the cherry on the cake is, once you finish doing all the lessons in this book, there's a little test on Blackmagic's website. If you manage to take that test and pass it, they'll provide you with a cool little certificate just saying you are a certified user when it comes to color grading in DaVinci Resolve 18. So I'll put the link to this physical book in the description below if any of you guys want to purchase that. And if you're struggling at all with finding the right workflow for color grading your footage, click here.